If you are anything like me, authenticity is a very, very difficult concept to grasp. For majority of my life up until this point, I have let other people dictate my authenticity and how authentic I am. It has been such a difficult road to go down to get where I am today. Since I am in a position where I feel comfortable with myself and expressing myself, I wanted to make this video to hopefully make it easier for people who are going through similar things, because I know how hard it is. I know how difficult it is, especially when you're a creative person and you just want to express yourself, but in the past people have told you that it was cringe or that you shouldn't do it, and you've actively let other people's opinions affect your authenticity. I want to talk about why authenticity is so incredibly important and why it is literally the key to your freedom creatively in your life. It's so easy for us creative people to get in a rut and in our heads about what other people think about our work. I've had many attempts at authenticity in the past where people have had a negative or non-nurturing view of my authenticity or things that I want to do, things that I like. It can be very, very difficult. There is this thing that I was taught that really helped me, and it is usually with creative people, we will try and find a niche and we will try and stick to it. I am so anti that, and I couldn't put it into words what kind of thing I was trying to do with my creativity. I knew that I wanted to do something different. I knew that I wanted to do something authentic. It really clicked for me when I heard this quote, I suppose it was, "Creativity is a niche within itself. Creativity is the fundamental construct of progression into the future." So in saying that, it is pretty self-explanatory why authenticity is so gosh darn important. I watched a video on creativity and it really opened my eyes to this. And I'll read what I wrote down. So I quoted it. "If somebody walked into an art gallery today, they wouldn't know if it was 1920, 1980, or 1990. This is why artists need to express and push limits. This is why you must be yourself." Mic drop, honestly. That is just so spot on. And when I learnt that, it really clicked into place. Being creative isn't about doing something that's already been done in a different way. It is about taking inspiration from things and making it into a completely new thing that is authentic to you. A really good example of this is the psychedelic niche or aesthetic. With the psychedelic aesthetic, the psychedelic fonts and aesthetic as a whole actually derives from 1800s advertising, I believe, or something of the sort, like 1800s like design for art and advertisement, I'm pretty sure. But regardless, it was something that was taken from the past and made completely new. And it completely, like, you think of the 70s, you think of late 60s, you think of psychedelic, you think of that, groovy fonts and stuff like that. So that is a really good example. Creativity isn't about having a niche of something that's already been done. Creativity is about taking inspiration from the world around you, using your imagination and your authenticity as an individual to progress humanity, to show new ideas. Because when you think about it, creativity is such a, I want to say, spiritual process. I know that not everyone is spiritual. Spirituality definitely makes it a lot easier to learn to be authentic, I think, personally. But it doesn't mean that it's not possible. It doesn't mean that you can't learn how to be authentic or learn to accept who you are as a person, your interests, what you like. For me personally, I grew up being very imprinted by other people's opinions of me. I would let it dictate my niches. When I was most in touch with myself, it was when I was 15 And I was like, I don't care about being popular. I'm just going to do what I want to do. I'm going to dress how I want to. I'm going to express how much I love classic rock and hippies and grunge and all of that stuff. This wasn't me being authentic, but it was me being true to my interests and expressing how these interests made me feel, how I wanted to dress because of them. The thing is that when I started to let other people dictate how I saw my niches and started to let other people dictate their opinion, my life basically, and listening to their opinions of my life and how to live it, that was when I became very deep in niches and put aside my creativity. I was so focused on replicating something that had already been done so that I could get credit for it, if that makes sense. I'll use Instagram as an example. So when I was like 17, 18, I was so into like fast fashion niche, fast fashion, Instagram model, Instagram influencer niche. Like I wanted to be that. And I'm not gonna lie and say that it was fulfilling, because it absolutely wasn't. It was so against my nature and I was ignoring that in myself. So when I decided to look inward and figure out what I actually liked, it usually came in the form of things that I was scared of, because it was so far out of my comfort zone. I was in a mindset where I looked at people who were doing the things that I wanted to do and I felt hateful towards them. Instead of being inspired, instead of letting it motivate me or push me in the right direction, I just had resentment. One of these things that comes to mind is self-improvement videos, and like for being a musician, like if I saw songwriting tips on YouTube, or if I saw Logic tips, like learning about Logic, I would be like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Or look, a whole Courtney Love, I used to look at women like her and I would be like, I hate them. I hate them so much. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know about music. But it was that inner resentment, because I wanted to be that. I wanted to be a front woman. I wanted to be a grunge artist. I wanted what she had. And I wasn't admitting that to myself. Instead, I was projecting. If you don't know where to start with being authentic, look at the things that make you angry, like, or jealous. Anything that that you like, or anything that you've ever had an interest in, that like if you see somebody else doing it, you're just like, oh my god, for some reason they don't know what they're talking about, they don't understand. Follow it. This is so important. Your insecurities, the things that you fear, are usually the things about yourself that are going to get you the furthest. I wanted to start YouTube for so long. I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew that I wanted to share my wisdom, because I definitely had wisdom back then, but it just wasn't, I didn't have the skills to be able to share it in a way that was authentic to me. This right now, this is authentic to me. I feel happy because I know how to deal with these things now, and now I can help other people deal with these things. So yeah, definitely follow your fears, follow your insecurities when it comes to outside influence surrounding things that you have been interested in the past, or are interested in, but just feel some weird kind of resentment to it. This is good for music as well. For a really long time, especially in the last year, I felt very confined to the things that I enjoyed from other people. When I first started writing music, I very much tried to recreate things that had already been done without taking into consideration my true interests, really. When you find your true interest as a musician, that is really the start of being authentic in your creations. And this can go for art as well. I love surreal realism. I love painting surreal realism. It is my favorite. I think that it's so cool, like messing with physical reality like that. But I don't want to confine myself to one thing. I want to try different things. And it is so encouraged to try different things, because if you live a life of authenticity, it comes from a place of exploration. It comes from a place of self-acceptance. When you really accept who you are as a person and the things that you like, it will lead you down the road that will take you to where you can implement those things into your creative endeavors. If you have ideas that you're like, no one's gonna like that, like, I can't do that, I can't, you are not only limiting yourself, but you are preventing your authenticity. When you let yourself create and just let it come out as it needs to, let your work evolve as it needs to, it is beautiful. It'll have the passion in it. It'll have the vulnerability in it. It will have the authenticity in it. And when it has all of three of those things, other people are going to energetically relate to that. They're going to see how much passion you put into it. They're going to see that you are not afraid to authentically present yourself as you want to be seen, that is true to who you are and your nature and your interests. And you may even find that your interests aren't what you think they are. And that's okay. Like I said, it's all about exploration. It can be really, really difficult when you have people around you that aren't willing to accept these kinds of changes as well. This is why isolation is a very good thing for finding who you are. I know it sounds scary because when we have people that support what we do now, when we're not being authentic, it can be very easy to find comfort in that and not want to step outside of that comfort zone. But I'm telling you, when you step outside of that comfort zone, isolate yourself, really figure out who you are, that is when you will find your answers. Being authentic isn't just about embodying the person that you want to be. It is about figuring out who you are. It is definitely a very big thing. And the second biggest thing is being absolutely 100% accepting and loving towards the person that you are. Being authentic is an act of self-love because you are letting yourself and your soul express as it wants to and as it craves to. There is no fear to be had when you get to that point. And it's hard. It is a hard road to go down. But now you know that it's not as bad as it seems. And if there are people around you that aren't going to support your changes and aren't going to support your authenticity, then you need to be alone. Because when you start being authentic and you start shining, you start showing people and the whole world your creativity and your authenticity and your passions and your dreams and your insights and your knowledge, the right people will come to you, and you have to trust that. You just have to. When you energetically align with authenticity, it reflects into the world around you and it will reflect back. And you will get authentic people coming to you because they can see your authenticity. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. And you have to keep reminding yourself, it makes sense that if I change my inner world, my outer world will change. I know that this is getting into like a very spiritual place, but this is something, like, I've been through this. I know these things, and I'm trying to help those who are in a place of inadequacy, that feel like they're not being authentic and true to themselves, or they're neglecting parts of themselves that are authentic. You have to put yourself first. You just have to trust and know that other people are going to see that in you. I wish that somebody had told me these things when I was really down on myself and hated who I was. I was in a very, very, very dark place when I was neglecting myself and my own authenticity. So now you know. I think that's all I have to say for today, but I'm so thankful if you stay to the end of the video. I have the knowledge on these things. I have the know-how. I've gone through them, and I want to start sharing my journey, and I want to start helping other people with this because it is so, so important, especially being creative. And even if you're not creative, being authentic is like a vital part of humanity and living. Just be you. Do the work and get there, because trust me, your life will be so, so much easier, so much happier when you start being yourself. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back to talk about more stuff. So until next time, goodbye.